Hey guys, this is Robert Gardner with the Robert Gardner Wellness Podcast. I've got Alyssa with me. It's Lopez, right? Is it with a Z?
Yeah, it's with a Z.
I always have to check with Lopez. It's like sometimes it's spelled differently. Alyssa is going to chat with us today. I think there was some conversation we'd had about talking about pregnancy and how that's affecting your practice, like ongoing growth. And then I think you had some questions about the partner massage class, right? Like you were talking about teaching it possibly.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
want to talk about it.
So let's go ahead and talk about that. Tell me how things are going for you.
Sure. I mean, let's see. I'm actually at 38 weeks. It'll be 39 weeks tomorrow pregnancy. So I'm like almost there. I have been working up until 37 weeks. And whenever people ask me, like, why are you still working? I tell them that it's actually helpful on my body, especially when I'm doing mat-based work, to be working with clients as opposed to not be moving.
Yeah.
So, I would say that I've been very, very happy, grateful, and lucky to like have clients that my regulars, they're still coming, every month to get the mat-based work done. And like I said, it helps my body and it also helps them with their pain relief and relaxation.
Is it just the movement for
Yeah,
you?
it's
Yeah.
the movement. It is literally the mobilizing of them. It's a little bit of modification here and there for me, like me listening to my own body, which I know we've discussed as well, even prior to pregnancy, when it comes to working with clients. If it doesn't feel good for you, the massage therapist, like, then you're probably doing something wrong and you don't want to continue doing that, right?
Yeah.
You just want to modify. So there have been some slight modifications, but still, very, very happy clients after their I'm still doing like 90-minute, but mostly 2-hour sessions.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely been a thing. And I think because of I had just had a lot of transitioning happening this year with going from Alyssa Lopez LMT to then getting the LLC for Knee and Nalgas LLC, and also finishing up my bachelor's degree in sociology, but finished it up in May. And so I'm good, but my hours were just like all over the place. And then I had no idea what being pregnant and then also having my own practice going at the same time. Like I was like, ooh, is there going to be, moments of, I'll be right back. I just need to go to the restroom. Or like, I had no idea this is my first pregnancy. But so far, the communication with clients has been very, I would say like, I mean, I think because I've been practicing for like 8 years and already my regulars do understand my communication skills and like how it is very important to me. They've been super understanding throughout the whole thing. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with at least the pregnancy. I don't know what it's going to look like. I've had many questions as far as like, well, when are you going to be back? And I'm like, thank you for asking me that question. It's a great question. I don't know. Like, I really don't know what my body's going to do. I don't know what the healing and recovery period is going to look like. Everybody's body is different. And yeah, it's been not frustrating, but just a question that I knew I was going to be asked. I just wasn't sure like how I was going to approach that as far as just like, well, we'll see. Because I do still want, especially my regulars, to get some sort of body work done. Which I mean, normally would be like maybe like once every 3 weeks. So finding somebody to kind of like take care of them while I'm gone hasn't been a challenge. It's just more of like, okay, who do I know out there? Which I'll be honest, I've been working probably past like 2 years meeting other licensed massage therapists in the San Antonio area and seeing what they specialize in. Mostly in just like creating like community because I've only worked for myself. I've never worked for anybody else. I just knew that it was important to like meet other body workers. And then, here we are now at the place of like, okay, now I can actually recommend these body workers to my clients and have no reservations as far as just like, oh no, I'm going to lose a client. Absolutely not. That's not what it's about at all.
Yeah, it's a huge city.
It is. Yes.
Yeah, the competition thing, there are moments where massage therapist reminds me of crabs in a bucket. Like somebody's escaping, grab them. It's got like a weird thing, but I think overall it's because there's a very small percentage of massage therapists who work for themselves completely independently. And then what I notice over time is the therapists who are working independently are always looking for clients. The facilities are always looking to hire. And I always look at that and go, how is that possible? Like, how is that the thing?
Right. Yeah.
Like it's like if they're looking to hire, that means I've got so many clients I can't serve them. And these independent therapists don't have enough clients. I'm like, wait a second, how is this? Yeah,
it's a strange paradox to where it's just like that does not compute.
It's not demand. Mm-hmm. Like most massage therapists here in Austin, I don't know if San Antonio is remarkably different. Like I don't know how many schools are in San Antonio. I don't know how many therapists are working. There's a large military population in San Antonio that affects like demographics and things. So massage therapists will always say like the market is saturated. In other words, there's too many massage therapists. It's like driving the cost down. And I mean, what percentage of the population gets a massage with any regularity?
Right. Yeah.
15%?
Yeah. I would love to see those.
And I'd have to like make up a number.
Yeah.
And it's like, are we gonna argue and compete over that 15%? Or are we gonna go reach the other 85?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know as far as like specifically with, I mean, I feel like I spoke about most of the points when it came to like being pregnancy and like going up into, but as far as like with my body, like, oh my gosh, I did start having clients asking, hey, which one would you prefer that I sign up for? Because I do have Ashiatsu through Deep Feet, and just regular massage. And so I would just keep telling them like, just do the mat based, do the Thai massage, and they would sign up for it. But it really, really was like for me, more accommodating for the bodily changes that were happening.
How so?
Yeah.
How so?
How so? Oh, yeah. I would think because my background personally is through like dance and yoga. I think being able to like really get into like squats, really being able to like sit down and any of like the passive, movement with my clients was just more along the lines of like, hey, this is like nurturing times 2 because I'm also like growing a person inside me. But yeah, really with like my hips, I would say being able to sit down on my bottom on the mat and not have to like hinge at my hips, whereas that's what would happen if I were doing regular massage. And then with Ashiatsu, I mean, still good to be like, the different levels of being up and down and then just using gravity in my body weight. But like I said, I think because my background is more in like yoga and stuff like that, it was just the transition of just being like with clients on the mat on the same level was really, really helpful for keeping my hips open.
Yeah.
And things of that nature. So
I had a huge movement background. I was gymnastics and then yoga before I got into Thai massage. And students would ask me, like, how do you condition yourself? And I'd go, by doing the work.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, my body made those changes so fast, so long ago, that it's hard for me to remember what being a beginner is. And when they're like, well, I don't know if I'm strong enough. I don't know if I'm mobile enough. I got this knee problem. If I work with them one-on-one, I go, yeah, well, what's up with the knee? Oh, okay, so you can't, okay. So the knee can straighten just fine. You could walk, but like you can't close it. Like you can't kneel. And they're like, no. And I'm like, cool, let's just work around it. And they're like, what? I'm like, oh, yeah, no, we're going to put less pressure on that joint. We're going to do other stuff. I'm going to have to work with you methodically because I don't have that knee problem, but I'm going to show you how to, just like, oh my God, there's more than one way to do it. And I'm like, rehabilitated my own injuries while working on clients. They
Right.
don't know that I'm stretching something or lengthening something or mobilizing that hip and erectus femoris. Like they don't, they're just like responding to what they feel. And even that, 9 times out of 10, I think the most confusing part, I had a massage therapist leave a kind of a snarky comment on my one of my videos. And you have to understand that my social media is not me taking out a camera recording a YouTube video. Those days are gone.
Yes,
Like I haven't done that in eons. All we do is like record everything and cut a clip.
exactly.
Fuck it. Just record everything, cut a clip.
I'm just gonna clip. Yeah.
And I'm talking to the person, and they don't know this. In other words, the viewer at home on social media doesn't have context. They just see a video. They don't know where it's from. It was
Right.
from a school in Houston. That was a massage school. And I was doing a demo on one of the students. And then I was doing stuff to like open up her upper back and shoulder blade and side lying. And I'm behind her. I've got my foot there and I'm pulling the shoulder back. And I was asking, do you need more pressure like back or like down? Do you need more this or that? And a massage therapist was like, well, if you would shut up and actually feel the tissue, you would be a wonderful massage therapist who didn't have to constantly communicate verbally with your clients. And I wanted to go, hey man, you fucking guess. I actually ask, especially when I'm working on women for the first time publicly who've never had mat-based work. Like I didn't say any of that, but that's what I was thinking. It's like, oh, so we're just gonna guess. This is the height that the industry has gotten to. Like, don't get me wrong. There's things that happen in the verbal communication where it's like you can hear in her voice, it's not quite enough. And I'm like, a little, okay, is that too much? No, look at, that's verbal communication. Like that's telling me like a bloodhound where to go. It's not that I can't also feel tissue, but I don't think that the way it feels to us is the same thing as what the client's experiencing. And then when you got a shift like your body, one of the reasons I was interested to talk with you is like, I've never been pregnant.
Yeah.
I have to know what students are going to experience when 85% of massage therapists are women. There's a higher number of women studying with me. And when I go, you teach me. And they're like, oh. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Throw my weight around and be like, I know all about pregnancy and how it affects the human body. I've studied this intellectually.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what we want to hear. Yeah. No. It's. I think because like even I'm going with a certified nurse midwife, but I've also seen an obstetrician. Having things told to you as far as like, now you may feel this, everybody's different, right? Everybody's body is different. I kept being told that I might have, round ligament pain, which is in the front. As everything starts getting heavier, right, with belly, like you could feel this, you could feel that. I didn't feel any of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because of my background of like what I've, just been very physically active.
Yeah, most, in my experience, so just from working with clients over the years, women who have a high level of health, they exercise regularly, like, there's some shifting, but their bottom is very high. Like, it always surprises me. It's like, this woman just won a CrossFit competition. She had a baby 3 weeks ago. It's that sort of stuff where you're like, but she's already in such good shape. She's like an Amazon, like.
Yeah. It's one of those like, if your body's used to it, you're probably going to like go throughout the whole pregnancy, like, okay, I'm not going to say unfazed. There's the whole like hormonal levels, and I'm not familiar with like everything that's going to change, right? Like the elasticity and stuff like that, that's, again, everybody's going to be different, but for me, it was just more like, I'm just going to keep going until I'm like, I figured that it wasn't going to be the physical aspect that it was going to stop me from practicing. I thought it was going to be more of like the mental aspect of like, okay, I'm tired of taking care of other people. I'm ready to just like rest and take care of me now. And like be in my last like 2 weeks of like, this is me nesting. And that's actually what it really has been, as far as just like, I've just been, doing things around the house as far as just getting ready for baby and that nature. But yeah, it's more, there's the question of like, well, what is that going to look like for me of, being with an infant, and like, where I was so used to being like, these are the hours that I'm going to put into, working with my business. It also brings me joy. Um, Being with my clients, working with my clients, talking, communicating, all of that. So taking that away for however many weeks that's going to be. That's why I've also communicated with clients like, hey, you might get like a random text message from me being like, what are you doing this weekend? I have time. Do you want to kind of meet the baby and then also get body work done? And I have been met with positive reviews from that, as far as just like, okay, yeah, like if that's what you want to do, that's fine. So, but I know that's because of like the transition, like mentally will be very, I don't know. I'm just gonna give myself grace. It's gonna be an interesting thing, and I'm gonna say things out loud of like, this is where I'm at right now. So, but yeah.
Yeah, there's pieces of it. It's not to me so much even the pregnancy and like physical changes. It's more like lifestyle changes of having a child and then trying to deal with like childcare.
Right.
Like, I don't know, like, hey, it's 10 o'clock. I'm awake. Well, the baby doesn't care. The baby's up at 6 o'clock. Like, I need food. I'm gonna cry. Those little things, like it disrupts, and you're not dealing with a little rational baby. It's not like, well, mom needs some sleep. I'm gonna be quiet right now.
Like, let me just be quiet
Yeah,
for an
it's
hour.
like that's not how that's not how it works. So
Yeah. I'll admit I have family here in San Antonio. Matthew, my partner's parents, are in Bernie, so they're not too far. So as far as like having childcare, um, sporadically throughout a week, like I think we can handle it.
yeah,
And also, Matthew's an RN, so he works, 3 12-hour shifts. So that's also kind of helpful in the sense of like, he'll have the 4 days off, to where it's just like, yay, we're together and able to do this. Because I've heard things as far as like tag team parenting and like how it can be difficult, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to do that. But
the worst cases I've seen, and again, my industry is filled 85% women, so I hear women's feedback constantly, and I'm always like I always, okay, I don't hang out with a lot of guys, one, and the guys I do hang out with are not, I don't know, alpha males or something. I don't know what to call it. Like, they're not very typical. They're not watching a lot of NASCAR, I guess. And when I talk to women, it's always like guys won't help, and I'm like, who the hell are you having babies with?
right.
Like, no offense here, but like, I don't date these guys either. It's just like so weird to me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. And that's like across the board, like any cultural or age too. Like, I've also heard that, as far as just like, yeah, for some reason he's not really helpful, and it's like, ugh, I know well, that's not helpful for anybody if he's not helpful. But yeah, I just think that, again, studying sociology and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, well, culturally we do put so much on one, person's, and not to say that we don't put enough on the other, right? It's just more, it just looks different. So kind of shifting a mentality of, equal, in order to help raise this human, is going to be beneficial for all involved. But yeah, that's one of those. I'm like, we've already had those conversations even prior to pregnancy too. So I mean, we're a little bit older anyways. I'm in my late 30s and he's in his early 40s. So it's one of those like, yeah, this is a decision that we wanted to do, and here we are. So there's no takebacks now. But yeah.
I think that I don't consider demographics for clients because I don't have kids like my lifestyle is so, like, I don't know, you get blinders after a while. When I deal with someone who's like, well, I have, the the kid's getting off the bus. I'm like, what? But I don't, I'm like, my deal is like, okay, I got a smoker downstairs. I got to paint it. Then you got to trim the brisket. Like, I'm like, okay, I got to go store, get beer. Like I have a different lifestyle.
Right.
So trying to think about all the daily stuff that goes in, like I remember years ago, I dated a young lady who was a single mom, and she had a toddler, like I think her baby was less than 2, but he was, if I remember, around, when did baby start walking on average? Do you know?
Oh gosh, no, I don't know. Sorry.
Okay, well, he was around 2, but he was running around, however old he was. He was young, real young. And she's like, can you get him a glass? And I like went to the cabinet and got a glass. And she's like, you idiot, are you giving him like actual glass? And I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, okay. I mean, thank you for letting me know. I'd prefer not to be called an idiot. Like, it's like, I don't know. I just get a glass. Like, he's a little dude, like, I don't want him to cut himself, or I'm not absent-minded. It's just, I don't think about that. And they give this to drunk people in bars.
Very, very true. Yeah. No, it's one of those, like, it's not as intuitive as you think it would be. So, she communicated glass. I would have probably done the same thing, except it's also one of those, like, okay, but does she have plastic? Like,
well, I mean, I didn't understand where she was, what she was dealing with daily, obviously. And then she didn't understand that I don't, like, my friends are in college. They're not like 2. I'm like, oh, okay. Just to give you an idea here, like, you and I have lots of conversations. I was thinking about this and like why we interact as well as we do. And I think some of it might be university education. There's something about the level of like conversation we have as you being in, in sociology. And then where was I going with that? Communicating, children, the glass. Oh man, I had a really wonderful point. It just like completely fluttered away.
Dang it! Come back to Robert.
No, I don't stress about it. If it's important, it'll return to me. But yeah, dealing with kids and this is what it was. Like sociology, you and I have had conversations like, and this is me inadvertently, like the original founding fathers, right? I put this on without thinking about it. I'm like, you put this on because of her. Like you and her have these conversations all the time. Her son, like cartoons. At the time, they had VHS stores. I know these are not in favor in fashion, but this was college. And I went and rented like a couple cartoons, and I got the Lorax from Dr. Seuss, which is one of my favorites. And I played the Lorax for a kid, and she was like, "That's depressing." And I was like, I wanted to pick up her little boy and be like, "Kid, you're gonna have a time with your mom. She's trying to protect you from the Lorax who speaks for the trees. Like,
trees, yes.
if there's any time in which I want you to understand that you have to make decisions, little man, it's watching the Lorax. Like that's all. It's not we have destroyed the earth. It's like, what do we choose to do?" And, anyway, I just had a moment. I'm like, wow, if the Lorax is too much for your kid, like, in the Pacific Northwest, they actually banned that in some schools.
Oh my gosh. No, I didn't know that.
Well, because it's about cutting down the truffula trees, and people in the logging industry were like, you're not playing this for my kid at school. Like, this is not, you're not reading that. Like, it's like controversial, stuff. Right. So,
yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole as far as like banning of books.
Dude, my ex-wife, I had some conversations with people, and I'm like, man, I felt like my ex-wife and my roommate looked at me like the onceler time and time again. Robert was the capitalist. Robert would just grind people under his business boot heels. And I'm like, it's so wonderful to be referenced this way energetically and psychically by people who allow me to pay the mortgage.
Oh, how sweet.
That's so nice. I feel so supported.
Oh yeah, that's rough. But oh gosh. I mean, even like to kind of like go from like what we were talking about just now is like, how do you comprehend having that like as far as like demographics. I mean, just this year, like going to places that like people bring their children to the practice. Like I go see a chiropractor here in town, and they welcome like any age. I've gone there to when it was just like complete chaos of like noise and just like crying and all this other stuff while I'm getting adjusted. And to myself, like I'm smiling because I'm like, I'm going to be in this. Like, if this bothers me now, then maybe I should have rethought some things. But yeah, just like the reality of that, like I don't. There's a part of me that I appreciate that because I think with lack of childcare, right, infrastructure and stuff like that, in the states that we have, it's just like yeah, it just makes sense that sure, bring your kid. Like your kid can get adjusted too. I mean, and that's one of like what they practice as far as like yeah, we adjust family members at any age. But yeah, there's a part of me like I've been asked from small groups that I've gone to like with infants and babies and toddlers and pregnant people, and it's like hey, so you're a massage therapist, like what, do you also work on infants? I'm like, I'll be honest, no, I've never thought about it. Like, the thought of like having somebody bring in a toddler, like a baby while I'm working on them, I'm like, no, I've never been asked that too. I mean, but it's also, I feel that our industry is very much just like, well, this is you time. Like, there's no need to.
Yeah, I mean, to a point. But I've had like I'm trying to think to my mental Rolodex of like when I've encountered it, and I think once iPads came of age, it was like you could tell the mom was like, "Baby, please just give mommy an hour with this guy. Just play on your iPad. You can play your game or whatever." And I don't mind it personally. It's just it's more like how does the client feel?
Right. Yes.
About that process. If they like resent it and they're irritated, then it's like, not my favorite.
Right. Yeah. Like if they really just needed that like that solo time with the practitioner, right? Like with the body worker, then that I completely understand. But if, I've had, like 3-year-olds come into like the room while I'm working on a client, like when I was mobile, and wanting to ask mom a question and then even just like looking at me and like what I'm doing and like, I'm not going to ignore, like I love to interact, even if it's like a little person, right? Like, I'm just working with mom and trying to help her, relax and working with this way. And the attention span, very squirrel, like, okay. And now I'm done with you, and like just leaves the room, right? and they're good. But yeah, it's something that I'm like, I don't know if I like am considering, bringing that into my practice now that I'm going to be like a mom. But the thought is there. It just hasn't really like taken a hold of yet, just because like that just feels like a very like, though it's a huge population, right? It's still very like niche. And I don't know, like, I'm like, do I want to be like that niche? Do I want to be more open? Like
Man, I have a hard time with that.
I do.
I definitely have a like niche audience for the service I provide.
I do.
But I think like, okay, students will ask like, they want a class of how to work on seniors or how to work on the elderly or how to work on babies or how to special populations.
Yeah.
And once I understood the basics, it was like you could start to extrapolate.
Okay.
And I'm like, she's 6. See, she can communicate. Like her mom brought her in and she's like, no, she wasn't 6. How old was she? She might have been 12, 13, something like that. Like pretty young. And her mom, like she'd been in a car accident. Not a whiplash, but like enough of a shake that she was like, my mom, my neck hurts, And in that kind of uncomfortable, awkward kid way that you don't know how to express things because you're a kid, you know. And her mom came and sat down on the couch, and I was like working on her, and it's like you could tell she's like, "This is weird. This is some guy's house, and it's in his garage, like in my old home." You know, you could feel that little like weird thing. And I had her lay down, and I was like just working on her neck, and her mom's sitting on the couch right there, and I'm just kind of chatting. What is this? And it's like, oh, that's tender, you know.
Yeah.
And then after I'd worked on her for 10, 15, 20 minutes, I like lifted her head and turned her head to the side, and I was just lengthening, not pushing, but like just lengthening her neck. And when I lengthened it to the side, her neck went click, click, click. Aww. And I lengthened it again to the other side, click, click, click. And she's like, ugh. It's only been like 30, 45 minutes into the session.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after that happened, I go, we good for today? And she's like, I feel so much better. And it's like the communication is what allows that to happen. Like I'm running an ad for clients, and a gentleman contacted me who's in a wheelchair, and he's like, well, this all looks really great, but can I receive this? And I'm like, oh, yeah, hey, like for me, I don't look at it as, well, this is really inconvenient. I look at it as like, awesome. So I get to like push somebody's parameters again and actually have you come in, work on you in a wheelchair, have you come in for regular sessions where I set up my cameras downstairs instead of upstairs where my studio is, and work on you in a wheelchair. Because like the students, like, I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like they've got like very myopic kind of like vision about what's going on. I'm like, guys, once we're done with the terrestrial, if you throw me in a warm saline pool, I'm going to invent the aquatic sequence in about 1 hour.
Right.
It's like, why do you think I'm going to stop? Like, I don't have any desire in terms of body work. And it's like, do I want to work with children specifically as a population, or people in wheelchairs as a population? No, I just want to help people. And I'm also, from a medical or pain primarily standpoint, give me the people in pain. That's who I work with. And the people in pain, like I had somebody in a Facebook group, they were talking about like, how was your listening to music changed in your session over time? And I wanted to be like, I try to find people in enough pain, they don't give two shits what I listen to in session.
Also true, yes.
Because that works for me. I'm like, hey, we're listening to Laterals by Tool today. Put that on. It's like, this isn't massage music, but it's like I've had somebody almost get offended. Like, it's almost like the music is for you. And I'm like, it is.
That's funny. No, I love it. Yeah, it's that hesitancy behind, like being approached with something that you haven't been approached with before. And so not having that experience, right, of working with somebody in a wheelchair, it's like, yeah, you can still work with them. You just have to modify, communicate things that feel like we're still sort of, I mean, at least the communication part, like that I've learned through life experience, through job experience, right, which is life experience, and just, things that probably weren't really taught at the forefront of school. Yeah, because you're kind of taught in school that it's like, it's more of a quiet time. And I'm like, how can it be quiet? Like, how can you? That's my gripe. Like
The whole thing is too, and it's not to complain about core curriculum. Curriculum in most states in the U.S. is 500, like it is here in Texas. Some variation state to state.
Yes.
Core curriculum is not enough time to be able to get the students where I want them to get. And consistently what I see, like I'm working with Kristen, and to see Kristen's response as she's teaching and going, why won't they? And I'm like, Kristen, you're trying to get them to perform a mat-based practice they were not even shown in massage school.
Right.
That doesn't just happen in a 12-hour class. Like, we need 500 hours. And it's like, oh, well, they're not gonna. I'm like, exactly. Like, the parameters for education is like, people think sometimes I'm complaining about core curriculum. And it's like, listen, I was a philosophy student in school. Did I have a problem with grammar school and its curriculum? Yes. Did I have a problem with middle school and its curriculum? Yes. Did I have a problem with high school and its curriculum? Yes. Did I have a problem with college and its curriculum? Yes. And then I dropped out and went on my own education on Google. Like,
Yeah.
500 hours is the beginning.
Yeah.
It's called continuing education for a reason. Most of the therapists, I hate to say this, it's like they balk at it. Like that I would dare like insinuate that they should develop mastery in their craft. I mean, listen, if you just want to do massage and slap oil on somebody, feel free.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like okay, I can still do that if I need to, but I'm actually turning my focus to chronic conditions, and this is where it becomes challenging. People go, "No, it sounds like you're diagnosing and treating," and I'm like, "No. I'm telling people that if their pain comes from soft tissue, what if we can remove their symptoms?"
Right.
No, you can't. And I'm like, I've read the fucking law. I can say that. I didn't diagnose anything. I didn't treat anything. I manipulated soft tissue and helped people out of pain. There's a million people who have enough back pain that they're going to value what we're trying to offer. I'm just trying to find those people and go, come on in. Like,
Right. Yeah.
massage wasn't even what I was looking for. The reason I got into it is because I was in a car accident. I was in pain. Anything I applied that worked, I went, okay, let's do this for clients. Let's do this for clients. Let's do this for clients. And then all of a sudden it became my industry going, wait, this isn't massage. And I'm like, ooh. What does that mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's just outside of the 500-hour curriculum. It just doesn't conform to that frame of reference for what they were entrenched in that school.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then that's when you're met with a lot of backlash.
Yeah, nuanced populations. I just extrapolated from the base. And it's just like the software conversation when I was getting all this set up. And they're like, how did you learn how to do this? And I'm like, okay, here's Zoom.
Yeah.
How do I change the like video? Like, okay, I don't want this camera. I want the other webcam or something. Like, it's like so many small tweaks over time. Mm-hmm. When I went to school for yoga, yoga teacher training, I think at that time was like a 200-hour program. To give you an idea, 200 hours to like work with like, 10 people at once.
Right.
It's like, I've seen the jokes, like, anybody got hip problems in here? And it's like 80% of the class raises their hand. It's like, man, it's so, I got a job at a nursing home and I went into the nursing home to like teach these people yoga. I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I just was like, okay, sure, whatever. I go in, I bring mats.
Yes.
They can't do downward facing dog. This is a nursing home. I'm like, everybody grab a chair. We're doing chair yoga. Did I ever take one day of chair yoga training? No. But me being me, it's also like a challenge.
Right.
The thing about the guy in the wheelchair is he doesn't present a problem. He represents excitement in my brain. I'm like, ooh, I get to like apply knowledge to a specific case that other people think I can't even work on you to be able to like help you. Like, that's exciting. That's why I like chronic pain stuff, because sometimes I can't figure it out.
Right.
It's still like, ooh, man, what is going on? Why are they having that specific issue?
Yeah. And so like approaching it as a challenge, as excitement, right? And then, I'll take it a step further as far as just like, and also like, removing your own ego in this, because like this is a human, this is a person that's reaching out to you because they have chronic pain, and it's just like, yeah, will this work? And it's just like, I don't know. Well, we're gonna figure it out together, and and doing that again together, to where it's just more. It is more collaborative than I think we talk about, in the sense of like just meeting a person where they're at in that moment.
I had a a business colleague I had a conversation with, and this is bigger. This is next level pain relief, brand building, and he was like, "Man." He wasn't criticizing my business, by the way, or what I'm doing, but he's like, you've got this way where you're like, okay, I'm going to get students to participate in the community effort and thing of like working together to build a banana. And he's like, most people just want to buy a banana. And I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. That's absolutely correct. I understand. I don't feel criticized. I understand what you're saying completely.
Yeah.
But the Time Massage Jam to me is the thing that is controversial. And then also my sense of massage therapists and community is exceedingly limited.
Okay.
I don't see massage therapists as wanting community at all. They actually...
Yeah.
In my experience, it's almost like they push it away. Now, we can debate why that is, but okay. I'm working on rebuilding a client base because I've been teaching for so long. And it's probably going to get to the point where I go to my social media, open up my doors, and just give the shit away for free. And every therapist I talk to is likely heavily confused by what I just said.
Right.
And I'm like, people can't purchase a service they don't know about. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have any problem being the crazy healer dude in Austin with a weird personality and sense of music. Like, the Time Massage Jam was the huge test. And what I found out was the public absolutely wants the stuff that massage therapists are unwilling to provide.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Ugh.
every time I travel, which I've done a lot, there's a massage culture. I talk to students about this and I can tell that they're like, what? And I'm like, just like there's food culture and barbecue culture and taco culture, and like, you know, St. Louis has a different massage culture than San Diego. What? And it's like, it depends on the schools, depends on the law, depends on the practitioners there. There's more Lomi on the coast. Like, there's a lot of little changes like that.
Yeah.
There's a massage culture. When I go to other states and mention the Time Massage Jam, they all go, "Aw, I wish we had that." And then I'm in Austin running it for 13 years, and massage therapists actively like,
Right. They're like, no, absolutely not.
why? I would tell students that they're like, why? And I'm like, I have to make guesses because until
I don't know.
until I get the Google review where they're pissed off or something, like, I don't know. I have to assume because I'm not getting feedback. Massage therapists don't want to learn with the public.
Yeah.
You said it about being on the mat. I'm on the same level with the client.
Mm-hmm.
No, they don't. Not just physically, energetically. It's like, no, I'm the boss. I'm the therapist. And I'm like,
Yeah.
they have bodily autonomy. I think even without their knowledge of anatomy, that they
Yeah.
know more about their body than I do.
Exactly.
Hey, what's
Yeah.
going on, Chuck? What's going on? I got this thing in my leg, and I'm like, cool, where on your leg? And he's like, it's right in my hip. I don't like think he has less knowledge. I'm like, no, he has way more intimate knowledge of what's going on. He just doesn't have the anatomical framework if he doesn't know certain Latin terms for a muscle. The
Yeah.
muscle in the front, like in the quad, this one on the front. And he's like, yeah, it like hurts down to my knee too.
Right.
That's a huge amount of information to me.
Yes.
It's, yeah, like, oh man, I have a different personality. Like, people would come in at the time, excuse me, people would come in at the Time Massage Jam in Austin when we were in our heyday years ago, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
There'd be 30 goddamn people.
Awesome.
Nobody knew what was going on. People would like walk in and go, who runs this? And I'm like, They're like,
Yeah,
you
you
like
right.
organize this, right? And I'm like, this looks organized to you?
I hope you said that.
Oh, dude, no, I fucked with the audience bad. It's probably to my own detriment.
Of course,
And they're
always.
like, I don't understand. What is this? I'm like, this is like massage school hit Burning Man.
Yeah. That's a great way of putting it. I
And
love
they're
that.
like, I don't understand. And I'm like, okay. I grabbed a new person.
Yes,
What's
yeah.
going on, Diane? Oh, okay, cool. You're having a shoulder thing. Let's work on that. So I would grab the new person and work on them, while everybody else just continued doing their thing because we did it so frequently. You had a community event. But I
Right.
think what it is the dynamic is I'm the school, I'm the massage facility, I'm the teacher. Whereas I was like, nah, let's just work together.
Yes.
And everybody went, no, I'm like, listen, it's like a partner massage class.
yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm there, I'm supervising, nobody's being injured. Somebody
Right.
goes, ow, because they're too sharp with an elbow or something.
Right.
Like, for me, that is not that far of a step from a couples massage class. Like massage therapists don't get up in arms that people are doing couples massage classes and
Right.
running down their turf. But the jam, I don't know if it's like the combination of like, how do I say this? Like Bill Hicks used to talk about comedy and like walking people to the edge, and I love stand up, and I know Bill, and or not personally, but I know his artwork, and I'm like, oh yes, Bill, and like it's a long conversation, but Bill died before the internet, basically. It's like he did not have he would have been big on TikTok, but there was no distribution model for what he was doing. Like stand up philosopher is like maybe George Carlin, Lenny Bruce, and a few other people have ascended to that point. But like Bill was too like dark at times and socio-political. So walking them to the edge, for me, it's like working on a mat isn't that big a deal, right?
Yeah. It's not.
But it's like you work on a mat, then you're using your legs and feet, and then you're working on people's clothes, and then you're fucking filming everything, and then you're not making a distinction between like a therapist who came into the jam and literally is like, I don't understand who has a massage license, and I'd like look around and be like, he does, and I think she does.
Yeah, and that's it. The 2 people out of the 30, right?
But you're having people who don't have a license work on each other, and I go, it's like a couples massage class, right? Like, dude, there was a therapist who came in and had Josh Terry. I love Josh. Josh is a good friend. We've been friends forever. We met through the jam. Josh, at the time, was teaching music. He was a violin player. He was teaching music at a local music school.
Yeah.
And Josh worked with us for years. Some massage therapist came in, Josh worked on him, and this therapist was just like, oh my God, your work is amazing. Where do you work? And he's like, oh, I teach over at the music school. And she's like, oh my God, you're not a massage therapist? She's like, how did you fucking learn how to do this? And he's like, oh, I've just been hanging out with these guys for...
But that's a part of it, right? Like, so it's so hierarchical, right? It's very much like you said earlier, as far as like the teacher, the massage therapist, like I know more than you do. I mean, it's something that we learn from day one going to school. Like, it isn't a collaborative discussion. It's more of who's in charge here and who do I listen to, and their word is truth, and that sort of thing. So I can see how like that can be perceived as like rocking the boat for some people, but I'm like, I would think that something like massage, something like touch is such a basic form of like just communication, like without even verbalizing, first of all, that this is like a great place to even start with like, okay, well, let's practice your communication skills while doing this. I mean, I took a curanderismo, like I call it crash course, but it wasn't a crash course, back in June at University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. And it was great, so much fun. Like I learned about, like when I say crash course, I mean, it was like literally scratching the surface of like herbalism and ventosas, which I was just like, what the hell is that? I go to a massage school in Texas, which is like how, like in San Antonio specifically, 64% Latina, is Hispanic. We didn't learn about ventosas. Like that's fire cupping, but that's something that in curanderismo, like is practiced with those that practice sobadas, body work. Like I said, I didn't learn that in massage school in San Antonio, 64% Latino, Latina. And I was just like, I knew it. I knew, like it's practiced in different cultures. It's called different things. Like, this is so amazing. I'm so excited. And then they actually offered over the weekend a Ventosas course. I was like, I'm showing up. And we were in small groups. They had the massage tables out, the sky mats, like you call them. And yeah, we had our instructor Rita, who's from Mexico, and she was walking around, kind of like helping us, guiding us through, because you could see who was nervous and who was just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But my two partners, they're not licensed massage therapists. They're actually psychotherapists, and their touch and their communication was like out of this world amazing. And like that was for me, not that I was looking for affirmations and like the discussions that you and I have, but it was an affirmation as far as just like, yeah, you don't, it just, you're not cheapening it meaning massage therapy by having others practice it, because it's just such a like very primal thing to do as far as just like touch.
Yeah. Students at the jam, if you want to call them students, participants at the jam, I would watch them because they would like see me do something and then try to do it themselves. And sometimes, I don't know how to explain it, like it was like they would do it backwards. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. What? Because I'm looking at like angle and leverage and pressure, or however they're moving their body, because they don't have preconceived notions.
Yeah.
The schooling table.
Yes. That's it.
Like, it's only 500 hours.
Table and hands.
Yeah, it's like, guys, give me 500 hours and watch what happens. And they're like, no, that's, how much would you charge? I'm like, 500 hours? I don't know, 10 grand. And they're like, no, that's, no. And I'm like, that's what you just did at school.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You just pay that at this school.
Like, I don't, okay, I'm gonna go train, I'm gonna be a boxer. I don't just like walk into a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym and be like, like, nah, dude, it takes time. This is a different art form. I'm sorry. This is not like, this is not what school trained you for.
Right.
We'll keep the anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, all that stuff still holds. But like, even Kristen, I talked to her about it, and it's like you can see it. You could see the wheels in her head start to turn over time. Because I'm right there with her, like supporting her through the process. And she's like, my clients are not even starting to look at what I do as massage. And I'm like, she's like, they don't know what to call me. And I'm like, most people just call me an asshole, and I'm fine with that and go trim the brisket and get to work. Like,
yeah, it's fine. The
preconceived notions, if you're not careful, become like limitations. When you talk about, I don't know if it's called generally just like curanderas. I've had this come up with Hispanic clients who would talk to me about stuff. Like I remember one in particular was telling me that they had some crazy people who worked on the bull riders. And I'm like, whoa, there's a population that needs some body work. I would fuck those guys up. I was like, man, those are huge animals. Like that's rough cowboy stuff. And it's like, they've got to have crazy like injuries from.
Not even imagine.
Yeah. Just huge. But like, even Thai massage, like what has Thai massage become in the United States? That was the question initially. And it's like, what has Thai massage become in the United States from a white guy from South Louisiana who now lives in Central Texas, who's trying to understand Mexican indigenous practices? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
Like there's no context. And it's like, if you're talking about all of Central and South America, it's like vast.
Yes, it is.
Like changes in like culture. Like, for me, it wasn't that big a deal. And I like Bill, pushing the edges. I like, let's step it forward, step it forward, step it forward until somebody goes, wait, this isn't traditional Texas barbecue? Like, no. Like, I'm trying to, where are we going? And the same thing happens with the body work. It's like, why can't we just push it further? But the overall massage community, in my experience, it feels like has done more to fight what I'm offering than to embrace it. And when I think about that sometimes, I don't think it's just individuals and culture. I think that massage facilities can't figure out how to make money off of me. And they can't figure out how to make money off of my students. And they can't figure out how to make money off of my educational curriculum because I'm trying to go direct to consumer. There's no economic benefit perceived to them to have people practice what I'm teaching. Therefore, they're not going to support it. Like, I keep talking to Kristen, and she's like, why won't they do it? And I'm like, Kristen, you have to understand this. And I will say this 9,000 times. Blockbuster is never going to support Netflix.
Yeah.
This is not only is the work we're teaching different, but here's where everything fucked up. I started embracing cameras and software, and then everybody shut down and went, no, you can't. And I'm like, I was a philosophy student. What do you mean by can't? Like, this software is available to anybody on earth. This isn't new shit. Like, when I go to an internet marketing party here in Austin and I go, oh, I have an educational subscription service, they're like, yeah? Like, it's no big deal. And they're like, in one industry, I'm like, oh, like massage education. And they immediately, whoosh, and they're asking me 9 million questions. How did you? And I'm like, oh, dude, I just applied it in a new industry. That's all. The stuff I teach is clothes on.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the layers. That's the step. It's like, this is kind of weird. Well, this is weirder. This is weirder. This is weirder. And then now I don't look like anybody else. And they're afraid of standing out. They're like, Kristen sometimes wants approval. She wants the larger industry and massage schools and educators to like esteem what she's doing. And I'm like, Kristen, if you need people to like you and esteem what you're doing, you should probably study with somebody else.
Right.
Like, I do not offer the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
We're going to have hundreds of practitioners across the United States kicking ass and taking names till the larger industry goes, oh, well, yeah, that's totally acceptable.
Yes. Yeah.
But that doesn't just happen overnight from a table-based industry that, like, I mean, okay. People in business want to do things that help them make money and make them money quickly.
Yeah.
If I'm training highly skilled staff, those highly skilled staff eventually want to leave and work for themselves.
Yeah. Also true.
That screws the whole thing up because now you've just isolated it to maybe 15% of just the massage therapy, practitioners.
Right.
Kristen's like, well, we teach it on a table. And I go, yes. But the reason we did the partner massage class online, and I'm pushing that towards that a little bit, is I've been relying on the therapists to sell the service instead of trying to create demand for the service so the massage therapist will just give up and do it. If every place in the United States got a phone call today, mat work, mat work, mat work, mat work, mat work, mat work, I want the mat work, I want the mat work, I want the mat work, the students would immediately start doing it. Well, whatever they want, and that thing, Kristen said that, well, I want to give them what they want. And I was like, Kristen, if you want to give them what they want, just teach them on a fucking table. There would be no reason to do anything different if it's like, it's a strange dynamic, and I feel like there's missing pieces or something because I don't get feedback that the work is ineffective. I just get feedback from massage therapists who are like, in other words, there's too many things that were changed in the process. You're making me very uncomfortable because you're just breaking norms, like unapologetically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I'm like, there's an OxyContin epidemic. People are in pain. Let's go help them.
Yeah.
But you're not following the rules. And I'm like, they're made up, right?
Yeah.
That's not the law. That's like codified and written down. Like the rules is like cultural stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why do you have a problem with me helping people?
Yes.
Well, and there's layers here, because for me, it's like you're trying to build like a vision and a dream, and then the vision and the dream isn't money. Money is just like shit to move around to get the job done. It just allows me a better camera or software or staff to do something or whatever. Like, it's not, I mean, I want enough money to get good dental work and like do other things that are needed in America, but it's like, it's not the goal in and of itself. Like, if I'm in a jungle with a machete hacking my way through it and I'm like, come on guys, get a machete, let's go. And they're like, no, can you just like pave the interstate? I don't want to do all this. And I'm like, sorry.
Yes.
There ain't no pavement here. Like, we're going to we got to mix concrete.
We're going to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, back to the point of like, and why I want to teach partner yoga or Thai jams. I mean, I feel that I can have better conversations with participants, clients, in like showing them like, hey, yeah, you can do this yourself. Like, this is not gate kept in any way, like it, or it shouldn't be. To where it's just like, if we can do this in a fun setting, show, whatever basic moves. I mean, I even just this week, my mom's visiting from out of town, and like, she's been complaining about, low back pain. And I was like, okay, well, get on the floor. And I didn't, I was at the place that they stay, or their friend's house. And I just started working on her, just doing very much like what you taught us last year, and Kristen at class. And just more of like, traction, did some mobility, and just to see where she was at. And I was like, dang, Mom, you holding on real tight. Like, just very, very real with her. We do like deep inhales and exhales. And then afterwards, she's like, oh my gosh, the pain's gone. I feel better. Like, what did you just do? And so we talked about it. I gave her a lacrosse ball. I was like, try to do these stretches. And she's actually been doing them like every single day since last week. And she's still feeling good. But I'm like, this is something that all of 15 minutes, Robert. Like, I don't think I did longer than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That was it. And I was like, and this is someone that she grew up a dancer. Like, she's been dancing since like 3 years old.
Yeah.
So she has body awareness, and it's just one of those like, yeah, I just need to like kind of like pull back the layers a little bit in the sense of like, there's also more, you could do this and this. And I just, deep down, I think it's more of, I never pictured myself going into education, but I realized that like, we're all in some form educators. We want to share the knowledge. We don't want to withhold information when we know deep down that I'm like, this will somehow change somebody's life in this like short amount of time, and hopefully they share that knowledge later down the road, whatever. Like, I think that's just part of like storytelling and just being human. So yeah, the time and size jam, as I saw it, and I can talk about like its development, like students would work with us, and it'd be late at night sometimes when we used to run the jam. It'd be like midnight, and some young lady was like, this is it, this is what I want to do for a living. Like, how do I do this for a living? And I'm like, this years ago. And I'm like, you should probably go to massage school. And they're like, oh, but they don't teach what you do. I don't, and I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, well, I've been in the industry longer now, so I see it a little differently and I know more legally. But it was like, if you want to do this and call it massage, you got to go to massage school.
Correct.
If you don't want to call it massage, then we have other legal shit to handle and lawyers to deal with.
Hopefully, yes.
The issue was there were a couple of people over time that left the Thai Massage Jam and enrolled in local massage curriculums because I was educating. But then when I would try to host the jam at a massage school, they would do nothing to promote. And I was like, dude, you'll never have to advertise my classes ever again. But I think what it is like, this is a liability issue. This guy is doing dangerous stuff with like deep compressions on the public who doesn't know anything. The power dynamic is we are the school, you are the peon.
Right.
We are the school, you are the public, peon.
Right.
For me to shift that is like, for them to promote the event was basically to say that there's some clout, there's some status or prestige to what Robert is doing, flaunting the rules, basically. Yeah. And I feel like that thing, like I wondered recently how much of it is my personality. And I keep telling Kristen, go, 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 go. And she's like, why? And I'm like, because they don't like me.
Yeah, and you're like, I've already run my course in personality-wise and face recognition.
Kristen, 85% of massage therapists are women. They want to see what you do. Don't give a shit about me. Go. Yes. Like, I did not think that what I was doing was all that renegade, if you will.
Yeah.
It was just a natural expansion. And then we got to this point recently where I've got a trademark for Thai Massage Jam. Even Kristen, she's like, Thai Massage Jam isn't a good funnel for clients. And I'm like, the Thai Massage Jam builds mat-based community.
Right.
I ain't worried about that. I need clients. And I'm like, the reason you don't have any clients is because you don't have any mat-based community.
Right. Yes.
Like, you're thinking, I run an ad, I get clients.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but there was no place for a student to work on a mat in any facility in Austin. So my students couldn't practice. Okay, they took an intro Thai class. Great. This is really cool. Come to the jam. You can keep learning for free.
Right.
Very tiny fraction of a percentage was interested in that. Okay. And this is like massively confusing to me because Kristen, she doesn't like the Thai Massage Jam, but she's like the partner massage. Yeah, the partner massage. I like that. That's kind of my thing. That's my thing. And I'm like, what's the difference? And she's like, well, like it's like structured. Like there's teaching. And I'm like, I teach at the Thai Massage Jam. It's like basically what's happened is the Thai Massage Jam has become the partner massage class and the relief clinic. Okay. And I never got to full expression of the relief clinic because One World Karate like left the place that they were in. I spent $1,000 on equipment to get shit installed and they out, gone, done. And I was like, ooh, man, I was just about to show it off for real. Yes. And the deal is, if I look at it and go, what's the difference between the Thai Massage Jam, the partner massage class, and a relief clinic? Mm-hmm. The relief clinic is the one that most resembles a funnel for clients because it's like, you're in pain, come in. We'll give you a sampler session. It's an hour. Right. What? Like, what do you mean sampler? I'm like, oh, the session's 3 hours long. We're just going to give you an hour of spot work.
Yeah.
How much is it? It's free. What?
What? Yeah.
I don't understand. How is your sampler as long as Massage Envy standard session? And I go, we do different stuff now.
Exactly.
You see all these suspensions and all these people helping people? This is what we do now.
This is what we do now. Yeah.
Now, there's a brick and mortar. Now, this is the therapist, this is the client.
Right.
Therapists are a little more okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
The partner massage class is a little bit more like couples massage, but to me, I'm like, Kristen, the partner massage class is the Thai massage jam. The partner massage class is just codifying the same shit I was teaching the new people every goddamn time they came in.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
we'd hold a partner massage class with the Thai massage jam. The Thai massage jam became 4 times more lucrative. 4 couples would pay $50 each, and you'd make $200. And I'm like, ooh, wait a second. This is like, to me, fundamentally, it's just repackaging the same shit. It's like, okay, how do you get people to do it? The Thai massage jam on the whole has been a massive failure economically.
Economically, yeah. Okay.
Because it's like, well, a student would try to run it and go, but how do I make money?
Right.
Because they don't have my particular set of like ornery, like I got together and gave it away.
Yeah.
Until there was enough community recognition where people started coming in as clients. Even if it was just one a month, it paid for me to do my time.
Right.
If you take the Thai massage jam as the moniker and you allow some differentiation.
Okay.
So the Thai massage jam is the certification, but you can run the partner massage class, you can run the Thai massage jam, and you can run the relief clinic. Oh, you're having like different training modules in the same. And I'm like, yeah, because some of the students are going to be like Kristen. They're going to be like, I don't like this.
Right.
And I suspect, and this is me, this is my bias, I suspect part of the reason Kristen doesn't like the jam is because she wants everybody to focus on her.
Yeah, I was gonna say what I'm hearing is more of like that hierarchical, right? So like in partner, at least like you're still a teacher, right? You're still the one who's overseeing things. And also, you know, there's a feeling of like I'm getting something out of this. So it's transactional, you know, as well through specifically financial, but it can also be transactional and like a very, you know, emotional, like again, I'm in charge and what I say goes. And that's not a bad thing. It's just more like, hey, you know, this is what works for you. So I guess let's nurture this part of you and just, you know, but
those three things to me are absolutely the same. When I say that Thai massage jam, partner massage class, relief clinic, they're exactly the same thing. It's just like focusing on a different spoke on the wheel.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And there's certain, like, and this isn't a critique, like I do this sometimes because I work with Kristen so closely. I can't figure out her emotional and psychological set.
Okay. Still not yet? After years together?
No.
Okay.
Like, I literally have done this. I'm like, Kristen, listen. I'm never going to have you give up your autonomy, and I'm never going to tell you what to do in your greater life. In the body work, just do what I fucking tell you to do. This one area, I will say, just do it. And then eventually, years in, she's like, Robert, I want you to know that everything you told me was right. And I'm like, I really want to record this conversation, but it's like, Kristen, I don't care about your politics. I don't care about, like, you go kayaking on the river in your free time. I mean, I want you to have a good life, but like, I'm not trying to, this isn't guru shit.
No, it's not.
Like, it's just not. Like, I want students to do what I tell them to do inside the body work.
Right.
But it's like to develop their own sense of mastery. You have to understand that when you tell me, well, I just change it to fit my body. And I'm like, oh my God, please. Like, you've understood the teaching. It's like, it's really annoying as a teacher to keep teaching and realize how little of an effect you're having on students' lives. Okay. Like, that's frustrating as a teacher. So when Kristen says, well, the Thai massage jam isn't a good funnel for clients, I go, run it once a week for 5 hours for 13 years. Oh. It's so much work. And I'm like, if I knew how to make it easy, I would do it for you.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
this is not, in a way, it's not difficult once you accept it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just how you do it. Like, if I talk to therapists and they're like, man, no, bro, like, I just want to do a session. I don't want to, like, set up a website and blog and make video. And I'm like, oh, so you don't want to run a business in 2024? I'm like, cool. So just give up on your hopes and dreams and go work for Massage Envy. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, listen, like, I can't solve problems that I have.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Like, you think, like, okay,
you can solve your problems?
Technically I could be down spray painting my grill right now, you know. Oh. But it's like, I'm doing a podcast, and if I ask students, why do I have a podcast? They're like, I don't know. Huh.
For funsies, it's fine.
Well, it is fun. And it's like, there's very small percentages, taxes, accounting, spreadsheets.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever going to be like, yes, spreadsheet, yeah. Like Excel, yeah. Like, I mean, no, I like, okay, so I'm getting some data about what the business is doing. Great. Oh, that's cool. But like, there's just certain pieces that aren't fun. And I try to focus on the stuff that I love and outsource, you know, the rest. But I haven't figured out a way to outsource work.
Ah, okay.
Just the ongoing effort of, you know, like, I've got I mentioned the grill. I've got a cooking show now. And then, long story short, Kristen found a grill on the side of the road in our neighborhood and, like, messaged me, and I went and picked it up and was like, oh my God, I got a grill for free? This is awesome. And immediately I took the cameras and just threw them outside and, like, started making my own cooking show. And I'm in the first episode, I'm like, what do I call it? And I'm like, new free grill. It's like a play on. It's a play on, like, what I'm doing, which is food education, kind of Alton Brown, Good Eat style, but then also with my sense of, like, humor, where I'm like, step one, crack open a beer. Here's the real sequence.
Yeah.
I found another one on the side of the road the other day, and I'm like, it's a little rusty on pieces, but it's like $180 grill somebody put out as their garbage. So I'm cleaning it and tweaking it and doing all this stuff. And as I put it all together, where was I going about talking about the cooking show? It's like, I just kind of document what I'm doing. So I had an episode where in Texas, barbacoa is like beef cheeks and tongue usually. Mm-hmm. I had to learn this because I didn't know, like, we didn't eat a lot of beef in Louisiana. Yeah. I made barbacoa from scratch, and then I was like, I got to make tortillas. Instead of, like, making tortillas 100 times to make sure I do it right, I'm like, hey, I'm a crazy white guy. I've never made tortillas from scratch. I got some nixtamalized corn, talked about nixtamalization for a minute, went, how the fuck did they figure this out? I have no idea. And I'm like, and I rolled, you know, I made tortillas. They were not great. Okay? Well, but I'm like, I'm a crazy gringo. I never made tortillas. Like, like the thing is, and this is me, it's like, it's one thing to, like, make it perfect and then present this kind of perfection to the world. What do people say when they see a white guy who's cooked for a long time go, I've never made a tortilla from scratch? Does it give them enough, like, oh, well, he tried it, I could try it?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it expands culture. And for me, there was a lot of, in the body work, I gave up on the sense of perfection. It was like, do your best and make it a little better.
Right. And honestly, when you give up on perfection anyways, like, you do humanize yourself as well when you do that.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's just, I do it because it's a different kind of content that I love. And it's like, is it wellness related, health related? And it's like, it saves money. Like, dude, anyway, the episodes will keep coming out, and I'll build notoriety amongst that, I'm sure. By the time I get to episode 100, more people are going to be paying attention and like, dude, this guy this guy's crazy. Like, dude, I have this in a podcast, no personality. Bodywork videos, no personality. If anything, I'm like, Robert is in that cooking show. Like, I'm doing all the editing, so I'm just fucking around. I'm just like, fuck this. Like, just, oh, dude, it's there's like my own sense of humor and jokes rolled into it. And that's the thing. It's like, the Thai Massage Jam being the relief clinic, being the Parker massage class, to the outsider, it's confusing. Like, how do you make money off of this? And it's like, I don't make money off the cooking show.
No.
I build fans who are interested in the crazy white guy from Louisiana, living in Texas, breaking down the walls, doing stuff differently, building an audience of people who are interested in it.
Yeah.
I still get this thing where, like, well, Facebook isn't showing my video to just people in my city. And I'm like, you think people don't travel?
True.
I don't want to build a global following. I want clients. And I'm like, sounds like you need a global following.
Right, yeah. Got to get your stuff out there somehow.
I mean, they can't purchase if they don't know who you are.
Right. True. Coming from someone who definitely scoffed at the question of social media when you brought it up.
Oh, man. One of my most embarrassing moments, Stephanie Sorn, I did a private training with her about business stuff. And I had I drink a lot of fizzy water. I had an empty can of fizzy water. And I was like, you need to like run ads on social media. And she's like, well, is that a good way? I fucking blew a fuse and just chucked the can across the fucking room. I'm like, I don't understand how I did the Thai Massage Jam. You wrote me a check for $2,400 for training. You're working with a guy who's built his entire practice through these goddamn cameras and social media production, and then you want to ask me if running social media ads is a good idea. That's like asking me if water is wet.
Oh my gosh.
Like, guys, you don't have to do it exactly the way I do it. I'm not saying my way is the only way.
Right. True.
Businesses advertise.
They do.
Why do massage therapists take such pride in the fact that they never had to advertise? This is the only industry I know of that's like that. Well,
Yeah.
My massage was so amazing. Everybody just flocked to me and I never had to advertise. And I'm like, what's the downside of everybody in your community knowing who you are? Man, I had a student come in the other day. I lowered my fee from $600 to $300 a session. I'm running a temporary discount just to try to rebuild client practice and keep going.
Yeah.
And a student came in because the fee had been dropped, and she got a session with me, and she asked 9 million questions while we were working. And I tried to calmly, as I do, answer the questions as we work. And she said, you know, when you came up in massage school, people had really like diverse opinions. And I was like, when you were in massage school, there was a very small percentage of people who thought that rainbows shoot out of my chakras and I am doing the Lord's work. And then there's another group of people who said, I fucking hate this guy, fuck him. And there was every opinion in between. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, cool. 99% of those people have never met me in person.
Exactly. Yeah, right? You're like, cool, it worked.
I mean,
the fact that people know my name, yeah.
Well, it's a weird thing. Like, I've done this before because there's a weird thing with fame. And people are like, Donald Trump, what do you think about Donald Trump? And I'm like, I don't know, I never met him. And they're like, no, you don't. And I'm like, listen, Donald Trump's policies is not Donald Trump.
Right.
Donald, like, I'm never going to be rude. Why? What's the benefit? Hey, what's up, Mr. Trump? Now, if he's an asshole, okay.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not saying I want to hang out with him all the time. I never met him. And they're like, well, what do you think about, Chance the Rapper? I'm like, I don't know. I never met him. And they're like, oh, no. No. Having an opinion about his art form is different. Listen, The reason I'm me on camera is I don't want to party with 99% of you. I don't. I'm mouthy. Listen, I'm mouthy when I drink, okay? Like the NCBTMB is not going to sponsor me drinking tequila and teaching. I know this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you think I have opinions, you should hear the shit I say in private. We're not supposed to work with everyone. We're trying to find the ideal clients and the ideal students who want to work with us. Students, dude, people online, they're just like, well, Robert's marketing would be so much better if he didn't just get rid of the fucking people I don't want to teach. Listen, not everybody wants to practice mat work for 3 fucking hours. That is a small sliver of the bodywork community. Now, how do I build a huge fan base of those people and get rid of the rest? And it's like, I've told therapists this is the only post I have ever deleted from our private Facebook group. Okay. I said, make so much video the massage therapists hate you. Like, I don't want people to fucking hate me. And I'm like, good, go study with somebody else. I don't offer a path that is easy. No. Like, you have to take close on practice and show it to people. The public is not going to sit around on their own and philosophically speculate that a mat-based practice is what they've been looking for.
Right.
I'm going to come up with a new idea for a service that I need. No, the clients will get the service and be like, dude, this is the massage I hoped existed. Like, why aren't massage therapists doing this? And I go, it's not what they're taught in school.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a very simple answer. It's just like, they're just not taught that in school.
It's like, I don't think it's that far, but it's also because I took it step by step by step and then wound up in a slightly different space. Now, understanding where you're at and understanding where the audience is to be able to sell them products and services is what I'm currently working on, because the body work isn't the issue and the curriculum isn't the issue.
Yeah. It's
packaging, marketing, and advertising.
Yeah.
Now, what package do they want?
Right.
And when it comes to the public, me personally, one of the things about focusing on clients is very easy. I know it. Regardless of background, class, creed, race, ethnicity, you in pain? Come on, I'll help you.
Right.
Shoulder pain, back pain, low back pain, carpal tunnel, sciatica, come on in. Yeah. I can help you. Massage therapists? I'm like, okay, what do the massage therapists need? Because I don't think they know.
Oh, okay. As far as like pain relief and like...
Well, we know what customers, our clients want. Yeah. Massage therapists as consumers, what are massage therapists looking for?
Oh.
And I'm like, how to do the exact same thing they've been doing and get a different result?
Okay, yeah.
We don't want to change. And I'm like, okay, so be happy with what's going on right now. And they're like, but this sucks. And I'm like,
yeah. Got to change something.
Well, educationally, I would look at Amazon and I'm like, people hate Amazon. Fuck Jeff Bezos. I hate Amazon. I was like, everybody buys stuff on Amazon.
Yeah, you say, and yet people still buy stuff on Amazon.
You still participate in Prime.
Yeah.
I hate it. I'm like, as a business, quicker, better, faster, cheaper, accessible, like all the same stuff any product does.
Yeah, exactly.
Or service. Like, okay, do that to education, Robert. Quicker, better, faster, cheaper. And here's the thing, direct to consumer, there's a video vault with 1,000 hours in it. I don't gatekeep information at all.
No. Nope.
Massage therapists don't like it. And this is my opinion, you can tell me if I'm wrong, I'm getting feedback from a colleague. Massage therapists are hopelessly fixated on status and prestige. I want to buy status. Yeah. I want to buy prestige. I want to be special.
Right.
I want to be certified.
Somehow different than the rest, right?
It's like, I don't, so there's, okay, the brand building process that I'm engaged in is not something I was trained in school for philosophy.
You know?
Like, I keep looking at it and I'm like, But you've given them the information. You've given them the education, the body work. Like a student the other day was like, that suspension, where do I get that suspension? And I'm like, go into the subscribers vault, scroll to the bottom. The videos to install it are inside.
Yeah.
I can count on one hand the number of students who've installed that shit since I released it 3 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like I say this, I don't think massage therapists care about education. They want the status and prestige that comes from licensure and certification.
Mm.
Like, I can give them information, but they're like, well, can't you do it for me?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I think it more on like the hand holding, like, you know, that question, like, can't you do it for me?
well, I changed it too. I had to tweak language, kind of like a sky mat.
Yeah.
I like DIY is the model. Here's the
Right.
videos. And I go, oh, okay, no, I'll do it with you, DWY.
Yeah.
For you is different than with you. Yeah, I'll work with you and walk you through it. And it's like, I had an educator the other day. They're like, how much is that suspension thing? And I was like, it's $1,500. And she's like, I can't sell that at that price point. And I go, you can't sell a pre-recorded CE class with 36 hours of credits with over 36 hours of video footage showing them step by step how to install and use the suspension that nobody else teaches in the United States.
Right. Yeah.
No, it's your perception, not what I'm delivering. Like,
Yeah.
if I listen to what I say, if I charge what everybody else charges, is my curriculum any better?
No.
Well, it can't be. It can't be worth anything. It's only $7 a month.
Right. Yeah.
And here's the deal: a subscription doesn't give the subscriber the status and prestige that they're looking for.
Yeah.
No, I am a next level pain relief specialist.
Me. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like we're having conversations because hopefully next month is when the certification finally rolls out. I got to work on that. We're having conversations because they're like, is that going to... And I'm like, it'll probably bump the dial. But the consumer of a massage-related service, they're in pain, they need help, we do that. That's easy for me to figure out from a marketing standpoint.
Right.
For therapists, they want a thing that they can tack on to their table service that allows them to make more money.
Yeah.
As minimal change as possible and maximize the amount of revenue they bring in.
Right.
And it's like, I don't offer that.
Yeah, it's using a established, you know, whatever that's already done all the blood, sweat, and tears work to be like, I specialize in this. Like, it's very, yeah, it's pretty egocentric, I would say. And I don't know, like it's so silly because it's just like that's still a form of competitiveness to where I'm just like, yeah, but you're still doing body work. Like at the end of the day, aren't you just...
Students are very confused. I've had to, it's hard to explain like the changes in my own consciousness as business changed and grew.
Yeah.
And students will go, well, I don't want to do all that. I just want to call it Thai massage. And I'm like, cool.
Cool.
And they're like, oh, you don't care? And I'm like, no. My goal is like, listen, Nike, Reebok, and Adidas all make sportswear and shoes.
right. Yes. Yeah.
They're brands.
Brand. Yeah.
Now,
And I think,
what are the brands in the massage industry?
oh, you mean like, you know, deep, oh my gosh. It's like, yeah.
Well, everybody knows Nike, Reebok, and Adidas. Those are, you know, Sprite, Coke, and Pepsi. But like massage, what brands are there in the industry?
So people will be like, is this more sports massage? Are you thinking more like,
There aren't any.
no, okay.
Massage Envy,
Yeah.
Hand and Stone,
Yes.
Elements, maybe. And then the therapists go, a modality. And I'm like, ooh, what is a modality? They're like, Thai massage. Well, Thai massage, that's a modality. That's what you teach. It's just a new modality. And I'm like, what is a modality? And they're like, man, you always do this. This is super fucking annoying. Everybody knows what a modality is. And I'm like, I don't.
I don't. Yeah.
Because to me, the way they look at it intellectually is they think that a modality is this little tack on service. I'm going to tack on the cupping.
Right. Yeah. But then again, like, it just depends on the massage therapist, because like, even for me going through massage school, like I was just like, yeah, you could tack on, but what's the freaking point when, like, again, I was just like, what are the results? Like, isn't what you're doing doesn't really matter? Like, I don't know. I always felt like really the tacking on of prices always kind of made me feel a little grifty. So I've not done that.
Well,
like,
the way they package it and actually sell it, like if they do hot stone or they do cupping or they, you could get it. When I say a tack on, like you go to a spa, it makes sense to me that they have a longer menu of services.
Right. Yeah.
If they come to me personally, you get a session. It's 3 hours.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I get clients or potential clients who are like, do I have to get 3 hours? And I'm like, would you like me to help your problem?
Yeah.
Like, why has it got to be 3 hours? The other massage, and I'm like, oh, no. Like,
yeah.
Sometimes, if I'm not careful, they'll see my website and try to book an appointment. They're not watching a much video. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, guys, understand this. If you are a massage therapist listening to this podcast, watching this, if a customer comes in and expects a massage out of my practice, there is a major fucking problem. Because massage is table cream, glide, and nudity, and I took all of that away. Right. They're like, what the hell is this? I'm like, are you in pain? It's like, I don't talk about how I solve the problem. Yeah. I just say I'm offering a solution. For a therapist who's looking for education, they want something that's easily integrated into their practice that allows them to bring clients in effortlessly. And that's why I started teaching social media and video production and all the other stuff. And they're like, no, I don't. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Wait. That's it. Teach the partner massage class and build a public following who's asking for the service.
Yeah.
What the students don't want to do is business.
Yes.
And I can only go so far at automating that for them. Right. But if you do the partner massage class and you start getting more subscribers from the public and more couples are learning how to work on each other and it grows, they go, do you have anybody in my area who does this? I had 3 videos on my social go viral recently. I got over 1 million views on Facebook organically.
Yeah. Nice.
Who complained in the comments?
The massage therapist.
Why?
Because somehow you're hurting their business models.
Like, I assume there's some kind of weird envy. It's like, this is just Thai massage. You could just find somebody who just Thai massage. He acts like what he does is unique. 80% of the comments, I mean hundreds. Oh my God, I'm in Omaha. I'm in San Diego. Do you know anybody in Seattle? Oh my God, I want this so bad. I want this so bad. I want this so bad. Did any therapist come in and comment and go, damn, people actually want this mat stuff? I'm like, do that 1,000 times and then see what happens. The marketplace will shift, but it's like they're annoyed that people were paying attention to something that we created, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in the end, go ahead.
Right. Oh, sorry. Did you hear what I said? I said paying attention to something that they don't provide.
And like, I don't want them to criticize. I want them to be on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, there's okay, if you did Soothe or Zeal, you know what those are, the apps. Mm-hmm. They have a bifurcated, a split problem. They got to get the therapist to deliver the service, and then get the customers to request it.
Yes.
I've got the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like the students are going, well, why aren't my customers? I'm like, dude, your customers can't ask for a service they've never seen.
Exactly, that they have no idea what it is. Yeah.
Make video and show them, and they're like, no, oh, I just want to do massage. And I'm like, if you're doing massage, you look like everybody else in your community, and you're going to charge the same rates.
Yeah.
Massage customers, and when I say massage customers, I mean, in my case, as an educator for massage therapists, massage therapist problems are much more like murky to me. I can provide education. They're not really interested in that, not on the whole.
Yeah.
Do we get CE credit? And I'm like, depends on where you live.
Right. Yes.
But,
Yeah.
but why? And I'm like, if you all would like to band together and create freedom where there is no massage regulation, we could just go to the promised land, and I could just educate 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, 52 weeks a year, give you another 500 hours of footage every year. And they're like, what? Well, how much? I'm like, $7 a month. And they're like, I don't, but what about hands-on? And I go, guys, the Thai Massage Jam is hands-on. No, but a CE class. And I'm like, what is CE? And they're like, no, if the regulators don't sponsor it, we don't want it. The reason the relief clinic would have helped is, to outsiders, it would have looked like we had a brick and mortar.
Yes.
Oh my God, they've got a place. Oh my God, they're like, and it's like, there's something I can't quite figure it out for students. There's something about status and prestige, and the ultimate status is brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And I dare say, well, I'm an independent therapist. I work very hard. I want to take advantage of other massage therapists' labor and pay them 25%.
Right. Yeah. It's like,
And they go, Robert, why don't you do that? And I'm like, okay, give me 60%. Aww.
Right.
I'm like, do you know what commercial real estate is in Austin?
no thanks.
Dude, there are businesses that are dying left and right. Like restaurants, good luck to you. I love food. Like, unless you own a food truck, I don't know how these businesses are staying in. Like, well, it's sponsored by the professional organization, the AMTA, the ABMP, the NCBTMB. It's like the regulators and licensure and certification, and there's all these layers where it's like, well, I saw it in Massage Magazine. It's an authority figure. There is no direct-to-consumer educational model.
No.
It's actively like looked down upon, and it's like people are kind of like, man, that dude on the internet, man, he's like, you don't listen to him.
Don't listen to him, right?
And I go, why? What am I saying? In other words, the way that I was trying to deliver education, because that's what I do, right?
Yeah.
That isn't, there's something with the packaging that's not quite fitting, and I can't figure out, like, how many people have to call and ask for the mat work before the therapist just do it.
Yeah.
Like, I tell Kristen, I'm like, Kristen, just about the time I'm ready to die, it'll take off. And she's like, oh.
Oh.
Like, and I'm like,
kind of hurt.
I mean, I started teaching over 13 years ago.
Yeah. So you still got plenty of time.
I thought it would take a couple years.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, even with digital distribution and educational resources, the reason massage itself has become a little bit more codified is because of massage schools and curriculum. So it's created a certain box. The thing about the Thai Massage Jam is I saw that the public wanted it and would use it if I kept giving it to them.
Right.
But it wasn't supporting, bolstering the status and prestige of that box. It was almost like, well, no, like, Students do this. Well, don't you have a school? I'm like, yeah, it's on the internet. No, like a real school.
Yeah.
And it's like brick and mortar. Do they think for 2 seconds about who owns the building that brick and mortar school is in?
No, of course not. No.
I'm getting subscribers in Serbia.
Yeah.
Like, it's not against status or prestige or brick and mortar. It's like there's incremental business decisions that have to be made so that I don't go bankrupt.
Right.
And
Yes.
you're testing completely different things. It's like we started speculating recently, and I don't know how this is going to work. In addition to certification, the Thai Massage Jam, Relief Clinic, and Parker Massage, well, I'll continue tweaking some of that and see what is the workable piece of this.
Right.
For next level pain relief, it's not doing social media for the students and video production. What if a student could pay for an ads package where we ran ads to their practice?
Right. Yeah.
Because that's what they want.
Yes.
They just want the customers to want whatever it is they're doing.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do all that internet stuff. Will you do it for me? And I'm like, ooh. I mean, I think there's a potential, but
Yeah.
man, you think setting up Zoom is difficult. I'm like, running an ad
Cool.
for the student in a specific geographic location to like get them clients. I'll think about it, but there's pieces of my head that are spinning because I could see a student maybe paying $100 a month as a test.
Okay.
Would a student want to run $300 a month in ads?
If it brings in the people.
And that's a big if,
Yeah.
because I'd have to do a lot of like background and research and tweaking. Once you got the formula, you might be able to scale it up. But I'm like, man, having a student get certified and then offering them an ads package and say, hey, pay $300 a month for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Ooh. They would have to have a really good return on investment for them to justify putting that money in. Now, they can run ads on their own, but it's like, no. There's a reason that Facebook allows a boosted post. You don't have to go into Ads Manager and set up campaigns and all this other complicated stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the way I look at it is always, regardless of my feelings on the matter, is like, how do I solve client problems? Oh, done. It's not even, like, I mean, find more clients, but that's done. How do you solve massage therapist problems?
Too many factors.
It's a more complicated
It is.
discussion. And
Yeah.
fundamentally, I'm like, well, just change the whole thing.
Yeah. You're like, just,
Seems easy enough.
yeah. Yeah. But when you're met with pushback and, a lot of hesitation and fear.
Like I've worked with students through the cameras interactively, like through the apprenticeship. I've had a student, somebody's at a 5 on a pain scale, and they bring them to a 0 in about 30 minutes.
Nice.
And I've had to like focus on them, like, hey, you understand that you just solved the problem, right?
Yeah.
And you can tell they're looking at me to be like, well, did I do a good job? And I'm like, you fixed it.
You fixed it. Yeah.
Because the only way they track success is, did the client rebook and do I continue to make money?
Okay.
They're not even, in my world, it's almost like they don't even look at reduction of pain as a success variable.
Right.
And I'm like,
and those are conversations that should be had in the sense of like, yeah, I mean, returning clients, that's, what, a landlord would call residual income, right? Like you get that monthly check, but at the same time, I'm like, but what we do, it's like, you kind of don't want to see that client over and over again. Otherwise, like maybe what you're doing isn't working for them. Like,
I assume in most communities there are enough people in pain
yes,
that you're not going to run out.
Exactly. And that's what I assume too. A lot of things for me are through word of mouth or even just my regulars being like, hey, it's come the holiday season or whatever. They're ready to start buying gift certificates for their friends because it works for them. Why wouldn't it work for their friend that also needs the body work done, but probably has whatever, you know, financial burdens happening right now to where like maybe they can't afford it. So this would be a great gift. Um, so yeah, and I'm like, I want to be, not I want to be, I am open to conversations as far as like, look, if it's financially that's stopping you from getting the work done, like, let's talk because clearly you need the work done. Because ultimately, like with our healthcare, the way that it is, like, it's going to cost even more money down the line if you don't get this work done now, right? Like, I feel that's a very real conversation that should also be had. I tell people that clients that come to me, they're like, yeah, I'm thinking about getting surgery. I've already talked to the surgeon. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what is that surgeon said? Do they want you to do PT first before going in, getting cut? Well, yeah. And I was like, cool. That's probably a good surgeon. Like, you want to do everything before getting cut. Like, because ultimately that's like, I don't want to say the worst thing, but it's like, yeah, you've gotten to that point to where like there's nothing else. You probably need to have surgery. So, but yeah, I mean, this is like somebody that was like in their mid 30s talking about getting shoulder surgery done. I'm like, huh? Why? So, um, yeah, again, just communicating, having these conversations, and just realizing that like, like what we do, is still a form of like preventative care, as opposed to like heading into really high costing dollars for surgery or whatever for recovery. But yeah, sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there.
Oh, that my life is a tangent.
Yes.
Yeah, there are layers, but as a business owner, you're solving customers' problems.
Yeah.
Clients, I understand a little bit better, and I've had more practice at it. Students, ooh, man, it's like I'm like, students, and I say this because I want to teach and I just want to keep going. Students don't want to take classes that don't fit the number of hours they need for their CEs to renew their license.
Yeah.
If you need 12 hours, I want a 12-hour class. Don't give me this 6-hour shit.
Yeah.
I want to be done. And I'm like, I can't teach you what I do in 12 hours.
No. I mean, talk to somebody who does carpentry or anything like that. Like, you have a mentor for a reason. Like, you study with this person for so long for a reason.
So, well, okay. They go through a 500-hour program. I'm licensed.
Yeah.
What's the difference? You're a massage therapist. I'm a massage therapist. They're massage therapists.
Yeah.
It's all the same, right? And I'm like, dude, I get massage therapists. Somebody said this in a group recently. They're like, one, make sure the class is 12 hours because that's what they need. And two, they even stipulated you should be able to charge $185 to $250 for a 12-hour class. The massage therapists were telling a CE provider what they thought they should be charging.
Wow, that's not a lot.
And I was like, I've had my own students. They're like, why don't you just teach classes like you did before COVID? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you used to have like reasonably cost, and I'm like, I don't think that large group classes are a good way to teach what I'm trying to teach therapists.
Yeah.
I limit classes to 4 students. What?
Yeah.
Why? And I'm like, you like more hands-on time, right?
Yes.
Oh, well, yeah, but the class is $800.
Yeah.
And I go, ma'am, I was charging $600 a session recently. Yeah. And it's like, listen, if I charge what everybody else charges, they think it's not worth anything.
Right.
Here's the thing. I suspect, okay, because you talked about gatekeeping. massage therapists, in terms of their education, want something that's more expensive and they want something that's less available.
Mm.
I'm like, here, $7 a month. Don't want it. I want hands-on. I'm like, cool, come to the Thai massage jam. No, I want a CE class. I'm like, cool, pay the toll.
Right,
Why is it so expensive? Dude, I wrote a dialogue I do this on my Facebook page, on my business page, because you really have to read it to understand the full thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are your classes so expensive? I'm like, why is your massage so expensive?
Right? Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I work very hard, and I'm like, lady, I've distilled everything I've done for the last 22 years in that subscription service, and we continue to add footage daily. There's over 1,000 hours of instruction. I don't get keep shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, no, but I want to. And I'm like, listen, you don't get to dictate what I teach, when I teach it, the format I teach it, and the fee.
Yeah.
God damn. It's like anywhere else I go, man, I wish we had a Thai massage jam here. You offer it here. Massage therapists don't give two shits. We did the Thai massage jam recently in another place, and Kristen was running it, and she was so excited that therapists showed up. And I'm like, it's because you're doing it. They don't want to learn with me. They're like, we don't like that guy. And I'm like,
that guy.
I don't know to what degree I should be spending time focusing on being more personable.
I think you're good. You're fine. You don't have to work on it anymore.
Oh, I mean, but it's like I don't know. It's like I play video games, and I release some stuff on Metroid, and I play it on an emulator from the Nintendo original. I beat the Metroid when I was a kid, but I played it again. And then I got to the last one, and I'm using the emulator, and you can see on the screen it's like a save slot. And some guy commented like, why don't you just use the Game Genie? Like, in other words, he's like annoyed that I'm cheating on some video game at 47 years old that I'm recording and putting on YouTube. And I'm like, man, people got all sorts of opinions about all sorts of shit. Like,
true.
I think it was Socrates, he said, or Plato, like, it's like, to avoid controversy, like, do nothing, say nothing, be nothing. It's like, no matter what you do, somebody's going to bitch. It's why I told the therapist, just make so much video that massage therapists hate you. And they're like, what? What do you mean you judge success? I'm like, listen, I can't teach you a success I don't know. The way I was a success in our industry was pissing off 99% of massage therapists and not giving two shits. Like, if you don't pay my bills, I don't respect your opinions. Sorry. What do you want me to do? Like, all I'm doing is say, hey, man, why don't we work on a mat? No, you can't. It's crazy. You can't work on a mat. This is, like, no.
I know. It's fun to know people and have, thinking outside the box and stuff like that.
Yeah. So training for the partner massage class is pretty simple. We've released the class to the public. The students are going to start asking about teaching. And it's like, I'm trying to figure out if I roll it in with the Thai massage jam in some form. Do you think that's the best way to go about it?
I mean, I think so, just because I personally think that the more that you educate just the public in general, then that doesn't equate to clients like right away or in any like time frame.
Yeah.
But again, because it is a form of education, and with now being able to put it virally as well, now you're like even broadening it more so.
Yeah.
I would think that the Thai Jam would be more along with the.
To me, it's the same thing, and it's like people didn't understand in Austin because I'm just that one rogue. It's like, guys, this is what I did. I didn't have a structure. They just said, teach us some stuff, and after 6 weeks, they knew enough. After 6 weeks, the people just kept coming back, and they didn't want to like necessarily learn new stuff. They just wanted to work on their friends, and I'm like, do you know how excited I was that anybody gave a shit?
Yeah.
I'm like, it was like I was leading chaos over here. Like, there was massage education and then whatever the hell this was that was like, annoying massage therapists because people were actively coming and paying attention. And then I've had a student do this. They're like, dude, I learned all the stuff for free from you at the jam. Why don't they just go to the jam instead of taking classes? And I'm like,
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm not holding back.
No.
Like, I'm like, here. But even that, it's like there's a weird thing. It's like they want the CE class that's expensive in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And
I know you talked about that.
And if you don't do that, they don't, like, Kristen's all excited. I had to change some stuff around. We're having intro table tie basically in my fucking living room.
Okay.
Kristen's all excited.
Really?
No rent.
Yeah.
And I go, Kristen, there is no prestige to having a home studio. What? And I'm like, Kristen, there's prestige in having a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
I don't even talk about having a home studio because it pisses massage therapists off. No, I could never. And I'm like, cool, then don't.
Yeah, easy.
And they're like, I'm like, how much do you pay in rent a month? They're like $1,000. I'm like, cool. If you did what I did, you'd have a $12,000 a year ad budget. Never. It's not professional. And I'm like, what is professional? And they're like, fuck you, man. You're just a burr in the ass. And I'm like, oh, that's how I exist. I'm just,
yeah. But I mean, those are good questions to ask because, like, again, like societal norms and societal wise, like, because I approach it through, through what I learned in school and stuff. But even just like life in general, it's so much fun to just screw around with people as far as just like, this is how it has to be. And I'm like, who said it has to be this way? And who is that really serving by it being this way? Like,
massage therapists will complain about owners. Yeah. I love this conversation. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. Making money off of our labor. Let's take them down.
Yeah. Let's do that.
And I'm like, guys, why don't y'all open a cooperative? What?
Yeah. That's what I'm
10 of you get together, split the rent.
Yeah. Worker-owned cooperative.
I don't trust Allison to pay the rent. And I'm like,
then you're not ready.
There's a reason it doesn't exist in our industry because getting massage therapists to work together is herding cats. They're like, no, I don't want to be involved. And I'm like, okay, just understand there's a reason they don't work together.
Yeah. Yeah. But even to the sense of like, so what I'm looking for in the future wise is more of like, not just massage therapists. Like maybe there's like an acupuncturist, maybe there's a nurse practitioner there, like a very much just still a cooperative, still worker owned, but not just one single thing, because deep down I know that the answer isn't just one single thing anyways. So why would I push that onto people that are looking for payment?
Man, the conversations when it comes to regulation and like licensure, I would ask students, I'm like, have you read state law? And they're like, what? And I'm like, just read there is a massage law. I have read it.
Yes.
Like, and went, oh, that's the loophole. Oh, that's where the chiropractors got involved. That's where the PTs marked out their turf. Like, that's the way this is. Okay, that's how it's structured. And they go, but it sounds like you're diagnosing and treating conditions. And I'm like, no, I'm offering soft tissue pain management. No. Yes. And I'm like, guys, I missed my calling as a lawyer.
Yeah, right.
I missed my calling. Like, well, what is? And it's like, legally, that has an answer.
It does. Yeah.
And it's like, man, when I call my lawyer, I learned not to have philosophical conversations. He's like, Robert, I know you were a fine, upstanding gentleman with ethics. I know you're trying to do great things. You're an entrepreneur. You're looking for an angle.
Right.
My job is to keep you out of jail. Exactly. Before you make big moves, call me and ask. And I'm like, I want to do this. That's illegal. Can't do that, but you can do this.
You can do this.
God damn it. Yeah. Well, I want to do this. He's like, you can't do that. That's illegal, but you can do this. And I'm like, God damn, dude, this is like an episode of Better Call Saul. Like, fuck.
But that's what it is. Like, that's why you're paying your attorney so that you don't end up, having to pay.
He's an ounce of prevention.
Yeah,
He said,
exactly.
Robert, it's way cheaper for you legally if you just check with me before you.
He's right.
And
He's
I
not
said,
wrong.
I said the magic words. This is many, many years ago, way pre-COVID. I'm like, what about online? Online. He's like, online. He's like, don't teach them to break the law. Don't coach them to break the law. Don't encourage them to break the law. You can teach online globally with almost zero liability. And I was like, oh shit. Oh my God, dude, we have a fucking problem. You do not understand what you just said. Oh my God.
You just set us free.
And ever since, everybody's like, no, I don't understand. What do you mean you're teaching online? And I'm like,
That's just what I said.
I can teach 10,000 people a day via live stream.
Yeah.
There's no audience for what I just said.
Right.
Not even $7. I don't have that audience yet.
No.
If I tell customers, hey, I'll just teach you for 2 hours today, live stream. Aww.
Yeah.
But we want hands-on. I'm like, go to robertsmagictouch.com. $1 million.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
I don't understand why, like, you know how to mash on people. Like, why can't I show you how to mash on people through cameras?
Yeah.
You're getting feedback. Like, there was a class with some students. I think they were in, like, where are they at? Missouri? Anyway, there was another state, and they had a small group that got together in a single room.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the apprenticeship became not focused on one person, but focused on 2 or 3 groups.
Okay.
2, 4,
Yeah.
6.
Right.
And I said, okay, hook in. Okay, now towards the elbow or away? Like towards the ulna or the radius?
Yeah.
And then the student later was like, everybody started doing something different. And I went, because they're communicating and listening to the client, and there's no sequence for your nervous system.
Exactly.
To me, it starts to distract. If I had a choice, to be completely honest with you, I would teach what I teach one-on-one in a story, not even 4.
Yeah.
And if students go, I don't understand, why are you only teaching 4? I'm like, because it's easier for me to debate 4 people than 20. Unfortunately, when there's 20 of you, you guys think you know something, and we got to stamp that out. I can argue with 4 of you. One-on-one, I get to meet you right where you're at. So when you ask a question, I get to like dig deeper and then try to codify what I'm teaching and why, so that it makes sense to be able to streamline curriculum.
Yeah.
The fundamental issue to me is not, like, in other words, during COVID, did I expect my business to grow?
I don't think anybody did they?
My business grew.
Yeah. What do you say about yours did?
Like, and I'm the fuck up. Like, there was nobody in my educational background from school, like elementary up and through, was like, this guy's going places. I mean, other than prison. Like nobody was like, this guy will figure it out. My business grew during COVID, and then after COVID, this last 6 months, and I'm like, whoa. I'm confused. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like, I have global distribution. Why is it not continuing to grow?
Yeah.
Like, I'm offering something that no educator in our industry even remotely comes close to. I'm like, I can teach you live from 4 camera angles. And they're like, oh, but we want in person. I'm like, cool, fly to Austin. Oh, but it's expensive. And I'm like, it doesn't sound like you guys want an answer. You just want a bitch. You don't pay me enough to just bitch.
Yeah. That's what I tell them. Like, not that kind of.
Get off your ass and do something to change it. And they're like, but that's like hard work.
Again, when you're working for yourself, like you learn pretty quickly that, like, yeah, it takes more than what's perceived as far as just being your own sole proprietor. Like, it takes more than just like the physical demanding work. Like, yeah, it takes also paying people and learning from people and all this other stuff. So it's just, there's more to it. I don't think we talk about it enough in school. But I mean, school was set up anyways in the form of just creating workers, not creating
And that, like, I have, it's not just like they'll do this sometimes. Robert, you don't like massage therapists, and I'm like, no, I don't like people. It's much more broad. I have a fundamental issue with humanity as a whole. You think I'm focusing just on massage therapists, but you just happen to be the people in class. I don't want to hang out with 99.9% of our species. You just happen to be the ones here listening to my message.
Yeah, right now.
I am not impressed. We can do better.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can. So
then it's like, okay, and it's not just my vision. It's like, what's your vision? What's their vision? Cool, let's go do that.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, I don't think that change happens any other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your plans once a baby is born? Do you have? I mean, because I know your body's going to change. Do you have a certain like expectation for like how long it's going to take you to get back to practice?
I think again going back to like just listening to my body, but because I've been healthy prior to pregnancy and during, I'm hoping just like maybe like 6-8 weeks, and then just getting back to it at a steady pace, reaching out to my regulars first, and then pushing more of like whether it's like marketing, advertising, but also looking into what it would take to eventually start a cooperative. I don't think San Antonio has anything as far as like a cooperative business bureau. I know Austin does. I've been taking some of their online classes and just learning more about that, because I think that approaching anything in like a nonprofit sort of sector is still very beholden to not just your board of directors, but also like where you're getting your funding from, which that can be very, very murky. If you say the quote unquote wrong thing, you lose your funding.
Yeah.
And then with an LLC, like that's all well and good, but even that, like, that's just, I just feel like those two things are very, very much just like spinning the wheels and you're not getting anywhere. So that's why I'm looking more into cooperative as versus a collective, because I just think that like even with a collective, like you said earlier, it's like herding cats. I'm like, I really just want to have people that are like, hey, this is what you can bring to the table. This is what you want to bring to the table. This is your dream. And
I don't suspect I would be good at management.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want, people to be like, you have to hold yourself accountable. Like, I'm not going to be your mom. I'm a mom to this one, not a mom to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be my approach. And then we'll just see, we'll go from there. I mean, I do better talking with people that, do want to see some form of change as opposed to just like sticking with the status quo. So I don't know what that's going to look like but I'm ready to just go in, especially now that I don't have to worry about school. It's really, really nice.
Yeah. That'll shift and change. I know that when I started working completely for myself, my attitude about things massively shifted, because you had this one dream that everything was poured into. It was no longer, I'm working over here and there's a side gig and this other thing. And not that there's anything wrong with having other jobs to support your ongoing quest, but oh man. So my sleep schedule has always been an issue. I've never been a morning person. It's shifted in the last 6 months. I think I mentioned this to you. Yeah. But when I worked completely for myself, I just made my schedule fit my biorhythms. I became massively productive. People were like, God damn, dude, how do you do all this? And I'm like, when I'm awake.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because it didn't feel like work. It was just, how do I build the dream?
Right. Yeah.
And that low incremental thing, it's not a sprint, the real marathon, I was really good at. Like, people talk about they can't work for themselves. They're not self-starters. They need like the structure, and I'm like, I don't do well with that at all.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah.
I don't I've done it many times, and I've been fired many times because I do not conform rapidly or readily. I go, well, why? And they're like, shut up and do what we tell you to do. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Why don't we change it to make it more effective, quicker, easier, accessible? And they're like, you just do what we tell you to do. And I'm like, oh, man. My entrepreneurship is the last refuge of the troublemaking individual.
Yes. Yeah. But I think we need that in order to create any sort of change. I've been reprimanded in a nonprofit sector, like when I worked in nonprofit too.
I got fired from a nonprofit.
I literally made something more efficient, and I was told what I did was illegal, and I knew deep down, I was like, this is I looked at it and I was like, this is not illegal.
I got fired from a nonprofit because I was so effective on such a small budget that I basically started to change the foundation of the nonprofit itself. The executive director was like, you got to go.
You have to leave. Yes.
Because he was like, well, you can't do anything without a budget, right? And I was like, watch.
Yeah, exactly.
And here's what you had. You had a free thinker go, figure it the fuck out. Dude, I did so much. People pulled me aside and they're like, bro, we have never seen anyone do what the hell you have done.
What you just done. Yes.
And basically the director was like, you got to go.
Yeah.
It wasn't that it wasn't positive change. It's just that the change started to go in a direction that was changing the focus of the nonprofit altogether because of the volunteer coordinator. And when you talk about getting people to volunteer, I was like, I have a vision.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's, but again, even in that, that institution, it's very this is the mission. This is what we do. We can't ever break out of this one way of being. And it's like, oh, but that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because again, then you have this, one nonprofit that's existed for 80 plus years, still sticking with the same mission. I'm like, so how's that mission going? Are you accomplishing your mission?
Maybe eventually we turn the Time is Size Jam into the 501c3 nonprofit portion of the business.
Maybe. That'd be cool.
And people are like, nonprofits, you're trying to make money. And I'm like, oh, not nonprofits? Nonprofits make money. I know it's a different name, but trust me, there's it's weird. Yeah.
No, but it's set up to be that way. Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll talk again soon. Thank you for chatting with me. If you have other specific topics, especially as you get closer to, you're going to have downtime. So I figured if you want to do more of these, just let me know, because I get a chance to talk with students and colleagues and riff on stuff.
For sure.
Thank you for tuning in. I'll put your information, your contact information, social media down here below, so you can follow Alyssa Lopez in San Antonio. If you want to get a session, please contact her. Are you still seeing clients right now?
No, I'm done for a little bit.
Done for a little bit? Okay. Well, you can get a session in the future. Then we build anticipation for when you coming back. When you coming back? So thank you guys for tuning in to the Robert Gardner Wellness Podcast. I'll have more to come very, very soon. And I appreciate all of you.